We are happy you've joined us. Happy New Year, if I may say that. Today, we are going to cover... Oh, okay, we're going to start over.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right. That's okay. It's a new year, and we have a new button to push because it's rusty. This is Chrissy Bowers with Department of Commerce. We are starting our virtual roundtable. Thank you for joining us today. We have two things to cover. One, we're going to have the lovely and intelligent Susie go over the tax reimbursement incentive. And then we're also going to just have a couple of housekeeping topics. One is a open house that we want to give you a heads up to, and the other is some legislative session topics. So I think I'm going first with legislative topics. All right. So as you know, legislature started last Tuesday, and so we have some notes that of points of interest for you that just kind of an FYI. One of them is the governor's main focus is on restoring education fund. You've probably read or heard about that. He's recommended a 7.4% increase in spending for K through 12 education to implement the Education Task Force recommendations, as well as funding for higher education and workforce development opportunities. That's a hot button for everybody. We're thrilled. He has also emphasized lowering the corporate income tax from 7.4% to 6.9% and has included funding for the first year of a 5-year approach. The other point we wanted to call out is specific to commerce. The governor has recommended a $3 million one-time funding for Idaho's Opportunity Fund, which is a great fund for us to use to help communities throughout the state. He's also recommended a $5 million fund to support the Department of Labor's industry sector grants, which we've talked about. We've had guests on this forum talk about those before. That workforce's readiness and training issues is the top priority for many clients and many of you out there listening. Let's see, the next point is the governor recommended $39,100 in capital outlay for us to make some server upgrades and admin. I know that's riveting to most of you, but that could potentially help us serve you better as well. Let me see. Oh, and the governor has also recommended an increase of $2.2 million in spending authority for the Travel and Convention Fund to follow up to keep up with the 2% tax collections and be able to spend the money for our statute, for the law obligations. And that one is not necessary. So those are kind of the heads up from legislator output last week and kind of things we're going to be keeping our eye on. And then something for your calendars, please, something new that the Idaho Economic Development Association is doing. And most of you who are listening, I hope that you are members. And if not, we sure would like to ask you to become members, and we can help you do that if you're interested in that and all of the features and benefits of that pride of membership. Please let us know. You can send us a message, and we'll happily capture your information. So this is the State Economic Development Association that we are growing and strengthening. We have an open house with the Idaho Economic Development Association and legislators, and that is scheduled for Tuesday, February 17th, 4 to 6 p.m. here in Boise at beside the Bardenay restaurant. This is an opportunity where the Idaho Economic Development Association is going to visit with all the legislators that we invite, tell them about the Idaho Economic Development Association, some of the tasks, some of the things that, success stories, some of the areas we can get involved with, and the things that are going around throughout the state of Idaho. Again, if you're interested, that's by invitation only. We would like to hear from you. You may send us a message via this roundtable. Send it to me if you'd like, Chrissy Bowers, and we will get you an invitation and happily tell you more about that. Now, I should check and see if any questions have come up in the time that I have been flapping my gums. Let me see. I don't think I see any. No?
There's one.
Oh, there's one here.
Oh, thanks for the.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Good. It was just a membership plug. And again, there are many opportunities to get involved and be on the ground floor of a lot of the economic development that goes on throughout the state. We'd love to have your expertise. All right, with that, Susie Davison, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
Can I just interrupt for a
Yeah.
moment? So before we get started with Susie, if you have any questions, please type them in, and we will get to them at the end of Susie's presentation.
Yay. So I hope you all had a wonderful holiday and are ready for this new year. We thought we would give you an update on TRI and where we stand, and we thought we'd use the web page, which is on Idaho Commerce, commerceidaho.gov, to use it as sort of a place to speak from. I'm going to have Amanda go down to approved TRI projects. If you go on this website and then go to this button, it will think quite a bit, and then you'll come up and you'll see that we have approved 9 TRI applicants. If you can see SkyWest, ATC, Coachava, Amy's, DFS, Project Pipe. Now you'll see there's a difference there, that one has a logo, one has a project name, so that we will go to any extent we can to withhold the company name until the company is ready to announce. And so particularly Project Pipe, the customer isn't ready, and so we're still using it as its project name. But we have Glanbia as well, Aspen Snowmass, and Project Beam. So all total, we've had, and you can go back to the other website, all total we've had 9 success stories. If you look at those, and if you're kind of a data nerd like I am, you'll see that 5 are existing customers or existing Idaho businesses who were going to do an expansion. 4 are new companies who decided to look at Idaho, were competitive, and TRI brought them to the state. If you look at all those from a regional breakout, there are 2 from Region 1, 3 from Region 3, 2 from Region 4, and 2 from Region 5. So spread out throughout the state, there's a couple of regions who haven't had customers apply. Jeff recently gave a legislative update this week to the Chamber of Commerce, and what we did is we took all of those success stories and totaled up some factoids, and I'd like to give you those. The number of jobs included in those 9 are 1,710. Total project wages or new payroll for those 9 is $581.6 million. Estimated new state tax revenue, which is sales, personal corporate income, is $75.2 million. And estimated cumulative incentive value, that's how much is to be reimbursed, is $11.8 million. If you take that $11.8 million against the $75 million in taxes that we'll get, it's an ROI of about $6.37 for every dollar that was reimbursed for the customer. Interestingly enough, we had 53 total inquiries since July, and the conversion rate came out to these 9 success stories with others in the pipeline. Let's review the qualifiers again, just because I know you all have heard these a million times from me, but it doesn't hurt to talk about them again. Under to be eligible, Amanda can point with her pointer to be down in the body of the, there you go. Okay, companies in rural areas must create 20 new jobs, and those in urban areas must create 50. Those new jobs must be full-time, 30 hours or more, and pay equal to or greater than the average county wage. Now, if Amanda will push average county wage, you will go to a PDF that we're using for everyone to be, so to speak, on the same page about the county wages. In the past, we were looking to Department of Labor to come up with their averages, but we found that those average wages change too often. And if we didn't come up with a stake in the ground for an average wage as we go forward with these for 15 years, we'd be in trouble because they'd be constantly changing. So what we did is we went to the last Bureau of Labor Statistics final wages by county, and that's what you're seeing on the screen. When the next round comes, and to, I think that would be 2013 wages, we get the final, we'll use that. But from now on, everyone can go to this page and see what the county averages are in your particular area. And Amanda, if you can go back to the web page. So they have to be above the county wage. They have to, these projects have to have a meaningful community contribution. You notice we don't say it has to be a match of what we give. It doesn't have to be 25% of a match. It has to be meaningful for that community. The company must prove its stability and significant economic impact to the community in Idaho. In the final application, the customer has to give us their corporate financials so that we can look at those and do due diligence. And then the company must prove that the incentive is a critical factor to their decision. And that's the but-for statement, which is an affidavit within the final application that has to be notarized where the customer, in essence, says, if not for this TRI incentive, we would not have come to the state of Idaho or done this expansion. If you go on this page and go to the bottom, the Idaho TRI overview, this is a one-pager that is available to all of you, and you can use it to talk from or to give to customers before you send them our way. It talks about TRI requirements, how we evaluate, but if you look on the second page, towards the bottom, it talks about TRI applications. And we have the pre-application and the full application. The full application was always our plan, but we added during last summer when we were deciding how to administer this, we added the concept of a pre-application. The pre-application allows a quicker turnaround for an estimate of what TRI would be. It's when you have a site selector who needs to have a number to input into their spreadsheet to see if Idaho can stay in the running. It's for quick turnaround, but it is not a final estimate. It is not a final figure of what the customer will get. For a pre-application, if you hand them in by Friday, we can usually turn them around by the next Wednesday. What we have found is that although the pre-application is a speedy way to get a tentative estimate number, it actually really lengthens the cycle that the customer has to have in order to get to the final. So what we recommend is if you have a site selector and you don't have all your ducks in a row, but you still need a number quickly, go ahead and go with the pre-app. But if you have a customer, you know the customer is interested and they're ready to go, we suggest that the customer goes straight to the full application and get that done rather than going through the pre-app and then the full application. Also on this chart of how things work, you will see that once the once the final app is done, we will do an economic analysis, which usually takes 2 to 3 weeks. And it's not a commitment letter. That should be a recommendation letter. And what that says is Jeff Sayer will write a recommendation letter to the customer and say, this is what I'm going to recommend to EAC. Once he has written that letter, we go before the Economic Advisory Council to review the project. Our process or our procedure is to do a very short segment of the Economic Advisory Council in a public setting where we briefly describe the project and what we are recommending. Then we retire into an executive session, which is private, and the public is not invited into that session, where we can actually talk about the customer name and get more deeply involved in the financials of the project. Then once the council has heard everything, they will convene back into a public session where they will vote on the project, and they do it by project name at that point in time, so the customer name is not revealed. Local communities, you can do the same procedure as far as executive session goes, but one thing that we've had learnings about in the last few months is that we have done approvals of TRI on a contingency basis. That is to say that the EAC will approve a contingent on local match being approved, and that takes a little bit of the pressure or the cart before the horse away from local communities having to get something approved and keeping it confidential. So, and we just did one last week that is contingent upon local commitment. Another thing I wanted to briefly talk about is as I mentioned, we will do anything we can to keep things confidential. We respect customers. We don't want this information to hit the press. What we've found, and when you're working with your customers out there, is the very best way to work on this is to do a joint press release with the local economic development organization, the city, the state, and the customer to get the news out in one fell swoop. A couple of reasons: you get the best press by having one press release come out like that. Secondly, if information slips out and something gets to the press and we have not seen it, then they will call us and ask for a comment, and of course we'll say no comment. And then it looks like we're all discombobulated and we didn't do a coordinated release. So as you talk to customers, if you have a chance to talk to them about TRI, I think that needs to be in the forefront if you can, to let them know that we'd like to do that coordinated release of information. We decided that we needed to spend a little bit more time on payout of TRI and how it works, because I don't know if everyone is aware of how that payout works, number one. And secondly, in our earlier sessions that we had this summer, we were so fresh into it that we didn't have a lot of experience in how the payouts would work. But now that we've gone through a couple of these, it's evident that we need to really talk about that. So I'm going to have Amanda go to a PowerPoint that I have.
We're not sure anyone can see our screen. Oh, there we go. Okay. Hopefully that changed. Sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt.
That's okay.
Okay.
And this is the PowerPoint. First of all, the tax reimbursement incentive is not a check that we write customers. It is a tax credit for the customer. So first of all, you need to know that. So I have an example here of a TRI payout timeline. Let's say year one, the customer signs the TRI contract and they meet the minimum head count. And the minimum head count is that 50 in urban areas and 20 in rural areas. Meets minimum head count has to stay in the forefront of your mind, because until a customer does that, TRI does not kick in. So they have to meet that minimum. But let's say the first year the customer signs the contract, they hire all the people, and they began to pay payroll and sales tax as a part of doing business. So in year two, the company will file year one or the previous year's Idaho taxes. And at the very bottom of that tax filing will be the amount of income tax that they have to pay. So those are the three qualifiers, or those are the three items that TRI will reimburse. It will reimburse payroll, sales tax, and income tax. So the customer has all three. And what they have to do is they have to come and submit to the Department of Commerce their TRI documentation, including proof of net sales. And remember, these are only sales at sales tax, payroll tax, and income tax that are associated with the project. And they have to submit proof to us and say, look, we paid this much sales tax, this much payroll, and this much income tax. So in year 2, Commerce will also perform our due diligence and audit the customers or the company's documentation. And if they pass the audit and they look good, then Commerce will submit a TRI tax credit form with a tracking number to both the tax commission and to the company. So what it says is, this is what we authorize this company to put on their income tax return. So here we come, year 3, the company will actually file their Idaho taxes for what they did in year 2. And when they get to the bottom of their form, there will be a slot for them to put the TRI tax credit in that filing. So year 3, the company will be refunded their TRI tax credit if they don't have a tax liability. Because it's refundable, it will go straight to the customer. Or if they have a tax liability, they'll be refunded the amount of the TRI tax credit less any tax liability. So that is a great big long process, but as you can see, it's not quick liquid funding. It is long-term performance-based reimbursement to the customer. Now what we find is sometimes a company has 2 years to build something. So you can just take that 2 years construction and add it to this, and you can say at some point in time a company may not get payout for 5 years. Probably we have one example, Amy's, who was able to come in 1 year. They bought a building, they put in all their equipment, they hired 75 people, and they began production. So, but that doesn't happen all that much. The other thing, Cindy, did you want me to talk about taking a while to gear up for a number of people? Let's say a company, it takes them 1.5 years to gear up to add their people, and they had a 2-year construction. There could come a point where you reach diminishing returns because of the longevity that it takes to get a project up and running. And those are not projects that fare very well, I would say. Companies that can get up to speed and get their people hired are the ones that are going to benefit most from this program. So I think that's all. Let's see if we have any questions about this topic. If I haven't put you all to sleep. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Well, and I think our screen wasn't being, you couldn't see it for the first little bit there. Sorry, everybody. I believe we got that fixed. So this one was answered. Can you read those? Is there anything concerning the
first 3 are
Project 78?
So what?
Project 78.
Project 78, the customer is still in analysis, and they are still looking at the transportation portion of the RFI and Idaho's status versus our competition as far as cost of transportation. So it still isn't over. They're still on analysis, and actually I got an email from the customer today saying they're still looking through their logistics people at it.
Okay. Which TRI projects are in rural communities?
Coachella in Sandpoint, ATC in Post Falls, but they're not that rural. So I think probably just Coachella in Sandpoint. Oh, and Aspen in Ketchum. Glambia in Gooding. This is a teen speak up here.
Is the PDF on Commerce's website? Yes.
Yeah.
We can go back through and show you that again since it wasn't up there at the beginning. We'll give you a brief overview. Let's see. See now instead. Where can we get a copy of the PowerPoint?
Of the PDF?
Or the
PowerPoint.
slide that we're checking out right here?
The timeline.
The example?
Okay.
Yeah. We can send it. We can send it to you. You can send me an email. Amanda Ames, or any of us here at Commerce, we can get it to you. So to confirm, it takes 3 years for the customer to see a return?
It can take up to 3 years, yes.
But it doesn't always.
But it doesn't always. I mean, and that's what I think we're finding when Cindy is negotiating these contracts. She has to sit down with the customer, put pencil to paper, and figure out exactly when that's going to happen according to their hiring schedule, any construction they might do, and when they meet their minimum.
Okay.
Let's go and show you the web page that you didn't get to see. So this is the web page. If you go back, on the bottom, the TRI overview is the PDF, the one-pager that you can print off. And then the other one, if you go to the other tab, go back to the web page. You can go approve to, yes, there's the PDF for average wages.
Approved TRI project.
And then approved TRI projects, that tab down below. Probably within an hour after an approval from EAC, things are posted on the approved TRI project tab down below. Just getting there. There you go.
There we go.
So there's the TRI. Sorry that you couldn't see those, you guys, and just had to listen to my docile tones. But I would offer this, anyone on my team and the great Cindy Lee will be happy to sit down and talk to your customer. Cindy is our contracts officer. She's a whiz and an expert in negotiating with customers on contracts. If you entrust your customer to her, they are in good hands, and she takes it seriously. And something that we've all discovered is we'll probably be spending the next 10 to 15 years with some of these customers as they keep coming back every year. So she'll take good care of them, and so will we.
So then one more question is, where can we get the wage data? And that's on this.
Right on the page, Kathy, right? If you push that, average county wage, it will bring it up. And if you're somewhere where you can't access the web page, just call us and we'll send you a PDF of it.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone. Any other questions?
I don't see any other questions. If you have any, please don't hesitate to give us a call or send an email.
And don't forget about the Idaho Economic Development Association open house, Tuesday, February 17th. If you would like an invitation, let me know, Chrissy Bowers, and the membership, they're up. Not the legislation membership, but the AIDA membership. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.